Hey, welcome back. You're listening to Get Down to Business. We are powered by our good friends at Tandem HR, your solution center. Check them out online, tandemhr.com, or give them a call, 630-928-0510. Lots of great information, including up-to-date information and advice regarding all the crazy regulations that are affecting your business. You don't want to be caught blindsided, and you can talk to the experts at Tandem HR, once again on their website, tandemhr.com, or give them a call, 630-928-0510. They are fantastic resources to all of our listeners. Be sure you tell them that you heard about them from Get Down to Business. And I'm getting a little nervous over here because I'm looking online, and I was just browsing online, honestly, and I found a website, and it says that there are only 234 days, 0 hours, 22 minutes, and 35 seconds at the moment until tax season. So I know, scary. Thanks, George. So just coincidentally, I happen to have an accountant sitting here in studio with me who happens to be my father. I don't know how you ended up here or how you got into the studio, but I'm glad to have you because I am nervous.
Yeah, I would be scared too. First of all, security just let me pass. I told them my name was Klein, so they let me in.
I'm amazed that they let two Kleins in the building at the same time.
Klein you didn't want in there, but I got in and I'm here and we're going to make the most of it, right?
Absolutely. So all kidding aside, I'm joined by my father, by Moshe Klein, the founder and head honcho of the affordable accounting firm of Moshe Klein Associates. And you split your time between Chicago and Arizona, where you have offices. And so I guess that clock that's on the website, which of course we'll send our listeners to, is that on Arizona time or Chicago time?
That's Arizona time. So that means that people here in Chicago have 2 hours less than what it says on our website to get ready for filing their next tax return.
On the positive side of things, we also have about 50 degrees lower temperature.
Just about. Do you know, when I got off the plane, it was actually 58 degrees and I felt a chill go up my spine. Most people say it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's pleasant. I left and it was 105 and the sun had already set.
That explains why you are the only person driving around with the heat on in your car.
Absolutely explains it. Absolutely.
Well, all kidding aside, we have we are already basically in September. The end of this week, it will be September 1, and that means it is getting closer to tax season. What should our listeners be thinking about?
Well, September actually is the last month of Q3, and October 1st begins Q4, which means it's the final quarter of the year. If you're a small business owner, Shalom, you know better than anybody because you worked with the accounting firm for so many years that this is the time now that if you own a small business and you have not spent as much time as you should or worked with your accountant closely enough to get your books and records together, now is really the time to do it for so many different reasons.
Absolutely. And that is both on the personal and on the business side of things that people need to sort of get their house in order.
Oh, absolutely. Depending on the type of business that people own and how it's set up, some businesses have to file a separate tax return like a C Corp. And if some people own an LLC, that rolls up onto the personal return. So yes, it's definitely time to start seriously thinking about your books and records, regardless of how you file those returns.
Absolutely. So you are a good example of a business owner that has business operations in multiple states. I was thinking about this, knowing that you were coming in studio. How does a business like yours, how do you plan where there are so many different tax codes and so many different regulations?
Well, it's definitely confusing, even to people who work within the tax industry. So you have to, first of all, work with professionals who know what they're doing. When you have one entity in one state or multiple entities in many states like we do, you have to have forethought. You have to have professional guidance and advice. And you have to have a strategy because at the end of the day, all of those business entities are going going to be responsible for reporting, the revenue and the expenses, and it's all going to roll up onto some tax return. And it's important to know when you set up an entity that you're setting up the right entity, and it's important to know how that entity is doing so that you could make good decisions and hopefully pay the least amount of taxes that legally you're obligated to pay.
That is the goal for sure. And right now, to sort of talk about some current events, before President Trump went off to France for the G7, he talked, I think there were 3 different opinions that he had all within the same day about whether payroll taxes will be reduced or not, or at different levels. He seems to be coming up with a different opinion depending on the hour of the day. How can businesses plan when things, whether it's on the federal side or on the state side, things are still being figured out for next year? We're, as you said, we're getting close to tax season, but yet, on the state of Illinois side, state of Arizona side, any state that any of our listeners might be doing business, things are still changing all the way up until probably a month or 2 into tax season.
Well, it's definitely been it's been very fluid for the last couple of years. We know that the tax changes for 2017 were not decided upon and finalized by Congress until the very 11th hour. So I think the short answer to your question, Shalom, is that you work with what you know today, but you expect that there probably will be more changes. So as a business owner, you forecast and you budget and you plan with what the law is today. But I think my gut feeling is, and I don't have a crystal ball, that any changes that do come about are going to be to incentivize and stimulate consumer spending. So I would say that there's a good likelihood that we are going to see some type of a rate cut coming. And if I were a business owner, I'd be planning accordingly.
But that's why you need to have a professional that you can work with that will keep tabs on things, because as you and I have talked about many, many times, including on this show, you can't be an expert in everything. You can run your business, and we've talked to so many experts on the show so far. They are experts in their line of work. You hire an attorney for your legal matters. You should probably hire an accountant for your financial and tax matters.
I think you're so spot on, Shalom. One thing I'd like to add to what you said is that most people don't understand, but there are legal issues in play. When you own a business, the law requires you to keep accurate records. And I honestly don't know. I've been in the business for 37 years, and I don't know how somebody puts together 12 months of financial records, on April 14th. And we've seen it so many times. So the law requires that you do it, and it makes good financial sense that you speak and work with an expert to make sure that your records are up to date.
Sure. And we're going to squeeze in a quick break, and we'll continue the conversation with Moshe Klein of Moshe Klein and Associates. I am certainly very curious about the benefit, not just the legal requirements to keep good financial records, but also why it makes good business sense. So we'll talk more about that in just a quick minute. Got to squeeze in a quick break. You're listening to Get Down to Business, the show about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. And on my website, shalomklein.com. Follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. You can download podcasts, get a sneak peek if we'll be on the show in the future. You're listening to Get Down to Business. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. We have been chatting with Moshe Klein of Moshe Klein and Associates. We've been talking about the legal requirements for businesses to keep tabs and to report accurately on their financial well-being year after year. The government wants to know that information because they want to take a chunk of it. And but there are also, you were just explaining before we cut to break, there's business benefits to keeping accurate financial records and knowing what services or products are doing well versus the products or services that maybe you should cut. So how does that work? And I mean, isn't it just once a year that you come to your accountant with a shoebox of information, and that's what working with an accountant looks like?
I know you well enough, so I know you're being facetious, but it is true. We really do still have, in 2019, people coming in with shopping bags and shoeboxes. Thank God. fewer and fewer every year, but it is still a reality. There's so many reasons, Shalom, logical, simple reasons to understand why you want to keep good records. First of all, when you have good, accurate records every month, a profit and loss statement, a balance sheet, accounts receivable, accounts payable, you know how your business is doing. At a very high level, you see how much money is coming in every month, and you see how much money is going out. When you have a good accountant or a good accounting system, you can see year over year. Well, my March 2019, this is what I brought in and this is what I spent. How does that bump up and compare to March of the previous year and so on and so forth? So you see trending. If you see a trend way too high or way too low, it immediately causes questions to be asked, which can help you better manage your business. Another reason, Shalom, of course, is this, that if someone owns a business and they're having a very profitable year, and it looks like they're going to report the highest profit that they've ever had since they started the business. You want to know that for two reasons. You want to feel good that whatever you're doing is working, but you want to know because there are actually legal strategies that you can implement, buy down things, pay out expenses before the end of the year, spend money now to reduce your tax liability. You were thinking of getting a new copy machine. You were going to do it next year. Maybe you should buy it this year. It's a legitimate business expense and it reduces the tax liability. Also, Shalom, it's so important to be in control of your finances. You want to go to your tax preparer knowing what you're giving your tax preparer. You don't want to find out a surprise when it's too late. You don't want to find out in March or April of 2020 that there was something in 2019 you could have done differently and saved you a lot of money.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that I know you are so passionate about is obviously businesses working with an accountant and helping to figure out not just for the financial reporting that it's required by the government, but also in helping businesses, as we've been saying, do better and be better, more profitable business owners, which is something that I know each and every one of our listeners cares deeply about. But you are a believer in the accountant being a partner with the business owner, but also other professionals being partners as well. And that's why you're passionate about networking. I know you're very committed to networking. In a moment when we share contact information, we'll share some of the information about your networking activities as well. But what, in your opinion, are some of the other sort of must be partnered with professionals that you think a business owner needs to be working with?
Oh, that's an excellent question. It's something I talk about really every single day of the week with just dozens of people every week. You really have to, as a small business owner, you have to not only have a qualified accountant and a tax advisor. That's a basic for obvious reasons, but you also need a legal advisor as well. Every small business owner should have an association with an attorney. That doesn't mean you have to pay an attorney every month on retainer, because most small businesses don't need legal advice and services every month. But when something does come up, you want to be able to pick up the phone, speak to an attorney that's familiar with you and your business. And also insurance, Shalom. It's so very important if you're in business to not only be properly insured with the general liability or whatever insurance might be required for your business, but to get good insurance advice. Think about how many landscapers are out there that are not insured. Would you want a plumber to come in and work on your toilet if he or she wasn't properly insured and bonded? So from a purely logical business perspective, having insurance as a small business owner should help you attract more qualified clients, and just when something does go wrong, you're financially covered if those pipes do break or you're robbed or there's some hiccup that you weren't expecting.
So good advice. Obviously, every business owner is looking for that, which explains why you are so passionate about networking. We only have a minute remaining, but I'm curious to learn more about your networking activities and how you are helping connect business owners with the professionals that can provide the quality advice.
Well, Shalom, we are on fire out in Arizona. I went out to Arizona to swim and walk the dog and to really, really take a big step toward retirement. But the Arizona market is just, the Arizona economy is hot right now, not only because of the temperatures, but because Arizona is a hub for business investment and for small business businesses, there's just, unlimited opportunities. So we basically came out there and saw the need, and we took all the great things that you and I did over the years here in the Chicago area, Washington, Detroit, and so many other places. And I just basically said, hey, folks, here's some ideas to help stimulate business activity. And it took hold. So now there goes my retirement. I'm spending all my days enjoying every one of those days, but helping small business owners, sharing what I've learned over the years.
So I want to make sure that our listeners know where they can get a hold of you, both for accounting as well as for networking. Tell us how people can reach you.
Absolutely. Well, the best way to reach me to talk about absolutely anything they want to talk about is at Moshe, Moshe, at mkabusiness.com. For any kind of information, pricing services, our website, www.mkabusiness.com. And to learn more about Power Networking Group, it's www.powernetworkinggroup.org.
All right. Thank you so much.